Welcome one and all. My name is Jason Davis. You're listening to Empower Volusia Common Sense. That's right, common sense. It runs rampant around here. And we are coming to you hidden in an iron bunker deep in the highlands of West Volusia County and guarded by 2 rabid Pomeranians and a crazy cat. That's right. And, this is, we're calling this one our first podcast to be published. That's right. We are finally on the web, and we are doing our podcast. So if you found us, you've got it, you can pass this around because there are other people that will have our podcasts out there, and they want to hear the truth. That's right. That's what we're all about here. We are definitely about the truth.
You can't handle the truth!
And yes, I can. I can handle all the truth you can handle to me. And how do I know all this information and these things that we're talking about here? Well, it's very simple. Being me, Jason Davis, I was the highest elected official in Volusia County government. I was what they call the county chair. That's like being the mayor of the entire county. I signed legislations, I opened parks and cut ribbons, and I was the face of Volusia County. And those of you that know me know that I got a lot of face. Yes, I'm bald, and I know it. And but anyways, that's what I did for the county, and I debated and discussed matters of great importance for the citizens, and I always talked to the citizens every single day. My phone would ring. You know what happens when my phone rings? I pick it up and say hello. That's right. I said hello. Most people were actually quite amazed. You're the county chair. You answered your phone. Well, of course I did. It was ringing, and the ringing phone kind of drives me a little crazy, so let me answer the phone. And there might be something that somebody needs to know. And I have a great deal of knowledge because I've read every single thing that we passed. I know all about them. And I've studied our zoning and our laws and our rules and our regulations and the civil rights. And I've read the Constitution several times through. And I've read our county charter several times through. Heck, I've even read the Declaration of Independence, which, by the way, is available on podcast today. Well, it'll be today. But when you hear it, there's a thing, one of our podcasts is called Independence Day, and it's a celebration of Independence Day where we actually did the letter of grievances to the king. That's what the Declaration is all about. It's not law. It's not a rule. It's just an establishment that we are here. But I'll explain all of that in the next in the future podcast. You could look it right up there. It should be Independence Day. So, and that's how I'm told this website's going to work. So we're going to see how this all works. But anyways, I've dealt with cities, and I've dealt with the county, and I've dealt with the state legislatures. I've been to Tallahassee a couple of times. I've been to Washington, D.C. a couple of times, and I've gone through the halls of Congress and been to the White House. I have done all these things. And I've talked with our leaders, or so-called leaders, and we've had discussions of matters of great civil importance, as well as national importance. So I am quite well-versed, and matter of fact, when Senator Scott sees me to this very day, he goes, "Hey, how you feeling?" Because I was a little ill one time, and he remembers. He's got a great mind, great memory. So why do we do this? Why am I telling you all this? Well, because elected officials and county workers and state workers and federal workers, all you guys, beware. Because if you're stepping out and you're doing the wrong thing, I'll be there. If you're out there making noise about being a socialist, I'll be there. If you're out there talking about extreme leftism, I'll be there. If you're there talking about extreme rightism, I'll be there. We cannot have extreme left or right, and that's what I'm not. I'm a very much centered, in the middle kind of person. I'm what you might call a centralist, because I'm right down the middle. If the Democrats say this is a good law or a good ruling, and I look at it, and I read it, and I do the research, I'll come back and tell you that's a good law. It's a good thing to do. If the Republicans say this is a good law, and this is what we're going to do, and I do the research on that, which I do, and I'll come back here and tell you if it's a good law. What I will also do is if either party decides to make a really stupid law, I'll come back and tell you that too. So beware. We are out there watching you. We are kind of like the watchdogs on the internet. One of many, of course. There are many, many people out there. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I do not have a tinfoil hat on my head. And I do not believe Uncle Sam is watching me over the internet. My pod camera is right there in front of me, and I'm waving. So don't worry. I'm not an extremist. I do not want to destroy this country through war. I do not want to destroy this country through economic hardship. I do not want to destroy this country in any way, shape, or form of the word. I love this country. I love this country so much that I served for 14 years in the military. And I went to war for this country and for you. That's right. I received Army Commendation medals, Good Conduct medals, Combat Infantryman's badge, Air Assault wings. I got all my what they call the Bolo badge, the expert, all of my weapons. Highly trained in driving vehicles that really kind of weird. I even trained to fly a helicopter once. That was pretty cool. And I've got the Bronze Star for Valor for actions in combat. So yes, I've done it all. And then they decided to retire me because I got injured in the Gulf War. So that's why I'm no longer there. But that's another story for another day. So anyways, here we are. And we're going to call people out. Like, for example, today. This day, I'm sure you're not listening to this today. So I'm just going to kind of let that go. We're going to just let you know about something that's going on here in Volusia County. We empower Volusians. And that's what we're called, Empower Volusia. Because knowledge is power. And I'm going to give you the knowledge. And here it is. Volusia County officials, and this is straight out of the News Journal. Dustin Wyatt is the author of this article. And by the way, that's something else I will do for you, is if I get an article or something that came out of the newspaper or off the internet somewhere, if I can find an author of it, I will tell you who it is. I believe in giving credit where credit is due. And I know Dustin, and Dustin does a fine job. So here we are. Volusia County officials lit a fuse when they recently informed the city of DeBary it couldn't use inflatable slides or bounce houses in its own Independence Day celebration. Wow. Now, there are 16 cities in Volusia County. There's a whole bunch. And most of them, they do their own thing. They really do. They do their own thing with their celebrations, Christmas parades, 4th of July celebrations, whatever day they want to celebrate. And in the little town that I live in, up here in the highlands of West Volusia County, it's just around the corner here from the Iron Bunker, they do their own thing. They have their own bounce houses. They have horse shows. They have rodeos. We have animals walking around. It's a farming community. And we like our farming community as it is. So, the DeBary leaders have always, for the past 10 years, have rolled out these little bounce houses. They're moonwalks, they're bouncy slides, or whatever you want to call. But then, the county said, no, you can't use them. And the city of DeBary said, why? And they said, because there's too many accidents, too many injuries. Too many injuries. My question is, yes, if you do anything with children, children anywhere, somebody's going to get hurt. And yes, the U.S., and this is in the article, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission has stated that there was 19,200 hospital emergency room treated injuries in 2018 associated with inflatables. Now, I guess the bigger question is, yes, they're dangerous. I can't, it is a big, huge, vinyl-filled balloon. Okay. But the big question is, who's setting these things up? I have been around these bounce houses, and I have seen them set up. These things are secured to the ground, supposed to be secured to the ground, so well. You don't put a rope on a brick and tie it and set it out. You don't do that. You don't. There's it's like tent stakes they screw into the ground. And they screw them into the ground, they tie these things on, and they attach them. Now, the county is sitting here saying, oh, well, we don't want to do this because, well, we don't want to get sued. Okay, well, you don't want to get sued. Who wants to get sued? Nobody wants to get sued. I don't want to get sued. You don't want to get sued. The city doesn't want to get sued. The county doesn't want to get sued, although the county is sued every day. And they should be used to it. But how about this? And this goes back to the way government. First things first, a county should not be telling a city what to do. They are their own sovereign government. They are. We have been told a county cannot tax a city. We can't. Couldn't. We had no jurisdiction with law enforcement. We have county sheriff. They have city police. The county sheriff has to stop at the city line unless he's asked to come in or given permission. Or, in a case of some small cities, he's actually hired to perform police duties. That's how much of a division between city and county there is. We could not really do anything in there at all unless it was county property. Now, the beaches, even though it's on the other side of cities, that is actually a county park, believe it or not, in Volusia County. Our 40-plus miles of beaches is actually a county park. And it's owned by the county. It's maintained by the county. So the county can do what they want to do on there, even though the cities may say, no, we don't want this. And the only thing the cities are raising hell about, pardon that French slip there, but the only thing they're raising a fuss about is cars parking on the beach. Oh, how terrible. We do so many safeguards to make sure nothing gets hurt, nobody gets harmed, and the turtles are safe. There is no question. There is no need to be worried about having a car parking on the beach. So with that said, the city they used to have this thing called the Volusia Council of Governments, and it was all cities here in Volusia County. And they wanted Volusia County to join their little city organization, and I was the county chair. And I said, what's the name of the organization? They said, the Volusia Council of Government. And I said, that's the county council. I'm in charge of that. Oh, no, it's cities. Then you should be the Volusia Cities Council of Governments. No, we are the Volusia Council of VCOG. That's what it's called, VCOG, Volusia Council of Government. I said, no. That is the county. Well, we want you to join, and they wanted us to pay them $160,000 a year to join. I said, why do I want to join an organization that is named after us? And you don't do anything, and you don't have any authority. And see, that's the thing about a lot of these committees. They don't have any authority. But digressing. So the cities were always fighting against us at the county, constantly. So now we have the county saying, okay, we're going to pay you back. You can't have a bounce house. Even though they are an autonomous city. Even though they make their own rules, their regulations, they have their own elections, their own elected officials, they have their own bureaucracies, and their own police force, and yet the county, as I believe, overstepped their authority because they are sovereign cities. If you really want to raise a fuss about the safety of these items, then maybe we should get Mr. Charles Spencer, who is the Volusia County's risk management, to go out and inspect these bounce houses. Say, this is not good because it's not tied down correctly. You have the incorrect kind of tent stakes, or you have the incorrect kind of rope, or you don't have, it's not filling up all the way. It's not sturdy enough. It's too flimsy. It's, you got to point it north instead of east, or whatever you got to do, make a rule for it. Of course, they make rules constantly. We are nothing but a county of rules. We got tons of them. Because they're worried about being sued. Don't these bounce house people and these inflatable kind of carnival bouncy things, don't they have insurance? If somebody gets hurt on a bounce house, is it truly, because let's say the ropes broke and the wind caught it and blew it up in the air, which it does happen. But is that the fault of the person that's renting it or the person who owns it and is supposed to maintain it? There's an old saying, possession is 9/10 of the law. And if you are the owner of that bounce house and it flies through the air and somebody gets hurt, you are the one that should be taking care of it. Not the city, not the county. We are not trained professionals in how to put up a bounce house. You are. It goes back to what I've always said, and I've said this for several years. Go back to the source. You know, you got kids shoplifting, and I take these little tangents every once in a while, so you kind of get used to them, but I do come back eventually. I do kind of roll back to it. It's like I always say, let's see, we're going back to it now. Like I always say, go to the source. If you have a child that's shoplifting, why is that child shoplifting? Because his parents didn't say no. His parents didn't discipline him, and he thinks he can get away with it. That's right. So what do? You're going to punish the child. Well, why don't you punish the parents too? Exactly. This goes back to people owning these products. They own these bounce houses. Because this car or because this bounce house flew through the air and hurt somebody, it's not the people who rented it. They pay for a service for you to bring this here, set it up appropriately, make sure it's secured to the ground, make sure there are no holes in it, make sure it holds its air, and make sure it is safe. You pay a premium dollar for that particular service. So why should you be liable when this guy who guaranteed it and says it's a good product, why? And he owns it. You don't. You just rented it. And his services. And his word that it was safe and usable. So if you're going to sue somebody because a bounce house flew onto your car or carried your child off to the land of Oz or wherever, then maybe you need to go back to the person that owns it, who is supposed to maintain it and make sure it's safe. That's like a car. You own your car. If your car, you hit the brakes and the brakes fail and it crashes into a wall or into a telephone pole or something and you get hurt, you don't get to sue the car company. Why? Because you own the car. You are supposed to maintain it. It worked when it came off when you bought it, it worked. Same with him. When he bought that bounce house, it worked. So it's not the manufacturer's fault either. He who owns it is the one that needs to maintain it and make sure that it works and it's safe. That goes with anything. Cars, bounce houses, boats, houses, everything. People need to be responsible, and I'm seeing that there's a lot of people that are not quite being so darned responsible. And I encourage you, get it together, folks, and try to have, make sure you take care of your stuff, and it's working and safe. That is just a little bit of common sense.